Hello, and welcome to Zap the Gender Pay Gap, the podcast series where we expose the elephant in the room. The elephant's name, the gender pay gap. I am coming to you from Memphis, Tennessee, located on the banks of the mighty Mississippi River. Nestled in the southwest corner of the state, Memphis is home to the blues, barbecue, and so much more. I am your host, Gwendolyn Tucker.
Thank you so very much for joining me for this episode of Zap the Gender Pay Gap. I am your host, Gwendolyn Tucker. You can find Zap the Gender Pay Gap wherever you listen to your favorite podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Google+. Plus some exciting news, you can also find me on YouTube. I would love it if you would subscribe and share my podcast with others. If you've been listening, you know that May is International Victorious Women Month. According to my research, what started as a mere idea became a book, which turned into a workshop, then developed into a project, and eventually became an internationally recognized month. Approximately 20 years ago, Anne Marie Kelly authored the book, Victorious Women. The subtitle, Shaping Life's Challenges into Personal Victories. In her book, Anne Marie wrote about 9 women who were able to do just that, shape the challenges they faced in their lives into personal victories. This book launched a movement to help women create better lives and to recognize that women are constantly emerging victoriously in a variety of situations. So in 2006, May was declared as International Victorious Women Month. It hardly seems possible that May has come and gone so quickly. So as we close out the month, I'd like to briefly review what we've covered and then set the stage for what's on tap for the month of June. So you may also be asking, what does International Victorious Women Month have to do with the gender pay gap? As my pastor often said, I'm glad you asked. Anne Marie issued this challenge to anyone who would listen. Identify ways to encourage and empower women as a way to celebrate International Victorious Women Month. So for the entire month of May, my focus has been on showing women how to zap their gender pay gap. In my mind, it's a perfect way to encourage and empower women to advocate on their behalf. I started the month by calling for victorious women who are determined not to remain trapped in the gender pay gap. Then I encouraged women to emerge victorious and refuse to remain a victim. For far too long, women have suffered the detrimental effects of unequal pay compared to their male counterparts. Usually, the first question I get asked is, how can I know if I'm trapped in the gender pay gap? Which is why on last week's episode, I shared how to determine if you are trapped in the gender pay gap. I stepped you through how to find out if you have a pay gap. And if you haven't listened to that episode, please do so. And don't forget to download your copy of my ebook with a step-by-step guide showing you how. You'll notice that I haven't recommended that you talk to your boss yet. Why? Because you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. It's important that you be prepared for the discussion. Your success depends upon it. You will also notice that I didn't recommend that you ask your colleagues what they currently earn, at least not yet. When I first started in corporate, talking about pay was taboo. Actually, it was a fireable offense. Of course, this didn't include talking with your boss or supervisor about salary, but talking with your coworkers. Some were even gun shy about broaching the subject with their boss, but things have changed. Just this week, I read an article in the Memphis Business Journal on pay transparency. The survey revealed that more and more workers believe it's appropriate to discuss salary in the workplace, with 61% of workers agreeing that that is just the case. And when you look at how that metric of 61% breaks down along generational lines, 38% of baby boomers believe it's appropriate to discuss salaries in the workplace, compared to 82% of Gen Z workers and 74% of millennials. But also, about 47% of Gen X workers said it was appropriate. When you do talk with your boss, I want you to have all the info you need to present your case, your what, and your why. In preparation for your discussion, get some intel on the system you're in. How does your pay and performance system work? Who has to approve raises, including raises that don't occur in the normal or standard time frame? For you to emerge victorious over this elephant in the room, it requires you to be skilled in the art of war. Do you remember the quote I shared from Sun Tzu's book, The Art of War? Specifically this one: ponder and deliberate before you make a move. That's why my recommendation is not to take this to your boss or even talk about what you're planning to do with anyone on your team, at least not yet. You don't have your plan fully developed just yet, so planning and timing is critical. Going after your fortune requires taking calculated risk, which is a chance taken after careful consideration of the probable outcome. So before you make a move, get your ducks in a row. Recently, while studying and doing research, this seemed to leap off the page. Prepare yourselves for war. Wake up the warriors. The truth is, victorious women are great warriors. They're like elite forces. They prepare for war. They think like a winner. Even when they feel weak, they muster up the courage and say to themselves over and over again, if necessary, I am strong, a warrior. I'm tough. I'm a fighter. If I've done nothing else during International Women's Month, my hope is this one thing: that I have awakened some mighty women who are done with being trapped in the gender pay gap. They're not going to stick their head in the sand or fly off the handle and give their boss or supervisor a piece of their mind they can't afford to lose. No, these women are strategic, laying out their plan before they begin to launch out into the seemingly deep to recover their fortune. You work hard for your money, you might as well learn how to take home all of it. I've thoroughly enjoyed the time we spent together during International Women's Month. I hope that in some way I've encouraged you and you feel more empowered because of the info I've shared here. I'd love for you to download my ebook, Underpaid: The Number One Challenge Women Face in the Workplace. Just click the link in the description below. My goal is to get you to thinking about how to emerge victorious over this elephant in the room, namely the gender pay gap. And that will require you to think like a winner. Bottom line, I do not want you to be uninformed about the gender pay gap, nor do I want you to be uninformed about how to get out. June 1st is Dare Day, and for the entire month of June, I will show you how to step out of your comfort zone and emerge victorious over this elephant named the gender pay gap. Thanks so much for listening. If you have found this information helpful, would you do me a huge favor? Would you share it with another woman in the workplace who may be trapped in the gender pay gap? I would greatly appreciate it if you would do that. See you next time, next Wednesday at noon Central Standard Time, for the next episode of Zap the Gender Pay Gap. Oh, and don't forget to search for me on YouTube. Until next time, be well.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Zap the Gender Pay Gap. Please rate, review, and subscribe to or follow me wherever you get your favorite podcast. I am your host, Gwendolyn Tucker. Thanks so much for listening. See you next time.